Hello everybody. It's Sandra from Inspired Keys, and this is the Inspired Keys live Q&A session 2. So I'm kind of experimenting with doing weekly content like this where I answer your questions. And yeah, just send your questions in. Be sure to like my Inspired Keys Facebook page, join the Inspired Keys Facebook group community, as well as definitely join the email list, because in there I'm going to tell you all the dates that I'm going to come live. Now, in all of these Q&A sessions, because I get quite a lot of questions, I do have to prioritize the questions. So it's really straightforward. If you are an Inspired Keys Academy member, you ask a question, I will prioritize your questions first. So today's video is really cool. We've got an Inspired Keys Academy member called Xinjie, and she has asked a specific question about how to play What a Beautiful Name. So, you know that crazy awesome song, right? Her question specifically is, can you demonstrate your piano version of What a Beautiful Name? Would like to see how you make your playing each time different in every verse, and especially how you play chorus and bridge, and also when you repeat the chorus and the bridge of the song. So, okay, so What a Beautiful Name, piano version. I'm about to delve into that. In fact, what I do plan, because I think we kind of play the song in different versions. So sometimes we play it as a solo pianist in like a cell group context. Sometimes we play the song in a church context where you have a band. So maybe you're playing pads only. Maybe you're playing piano in a band. Maybe you're playing piano and pad in a band. So I decided, let's make this really worth the while by teaching you guys and talking through, because I think better than just playing it, I'm gonna explain to you exactly what I do. And if you have any questions, do key it into the live chat. But I just want to make sure that you guys are able to hear me clearly, see me clearly, and also that the chat's working. So if you could take a moment and just type into the chat box to let me know that you can hear me well, that would be awesome, just because we've kind of just started and I'm pretty new at this as well. I just want to make sure that we don't have any like technical problems going forward. Also, if you want to find out how to join the Inspired Keys Academy, which not only has specific, awesome, thanks so much, Marissa Faith, thanks tons. So yeah, I just want to let you know that if you want to join the Inspired Keys Academy, which is where I house all my training videos, and also you can access the 31 Days to Better Worship Keys playing ebook, as well as get your questions answered with priority in these live Q&A. You can ask questions about anything that you're struggling with worship keys, or request to see how I will play, or how I request that I teach a specific song. Like in this case, Xinjie is asking about What a Beautiful Name. You can ask all those, and I'll be creating courses as we go along this year as well to help you take your worship keys to the next level. So let's get started. And I do want to let you know that I'm going to be clipping my phone. Yes, this is done through the phone, believe it or not, on the top, so you can see my fingers and what I play. Now, I also want to let you know that I am recording this connected to my laptop. So let's flip the screen. Yeah, so I'm recording this on my laptop together with this special software that shows you exactly what I am playing. And this particular view, this video is recorded, but it will be for members only. So if you would like to access this particular video, be sure to check out the Inspired Keys Academy page at inspiredkeys.com/join, Join. Great. I am about to start teaching how to play What a Beautiful Name, and I'm just going to clip my phone up here and keep your questions coming in the chat box, guys, because once I'm done teaching, I'm going to take my phone down and I'm just going to really look through the questions. But great, I'm glad you are able to see like the entire span of the keyboard. So what I've got set up here is my keyboard attached to the main stage template called Worship Essentials, and I am using the That Worship Sound patch. So what this allows me to do is I can have a combination of various sounds. I could have piano only. I could have pads only. Two kinds of pads. I have a lower sounding pad, a higher sounding pad, and when I play them together, it's kind of powerful this way. And also I have the choice of using piano and pad, so it's very versatile in this way, and I wanted to make sure that today I teach a combination of how I play this song in 3 versions. So since Xunjie asked about playing in piano version, I'm going to start with that. And so for What a Beautiful Name, I'm going to just assume that this version is going to be in the original key of D major. So I'm going to play D major right now. And I'm going to mute my pads so that we only have the piano layer. And cool. So as a piano player for this song, you do have to think about, are you the only one playing? Like, for example, you're playing in the cell group, maybe just with one guitar. So if that's the case, you do want to play a lot more, right? Because you're the only one, you have to sustain the chords, maybe also the melody. I don't think it's necessary to play the melody though, because people usually sing the melody. But I'll play a lot more of the accompaniment. If I were a pianist and I were playing in a band, I'm definitely not going to play a ton, because I know that the other players in the band, especially the guitarists, the bassists, they're going to take care of a lot of the lower ranges of the keyboard. So I might actually just do a few occasional chords. So I'm going to talk through a few of those versions. Let's begin with playing in the context of life group or cell group, where you are the only one playing and you've got to sustain most of the chords and the melody yourself. So let's see. So here we are in a small group context. You're the only one sustaining, playing this instrument, no other instrument playing along with you. And you only have piano, so no pad, right? So I'm going to start the song quite quietly, just as the recording, just because I think if we divert from the recording, it's going to be very distracting. So we might as well keep it as similar to the Hillsong's version as possible. And now the problem without a pad is that you can't sustain the piano sound. So I can't just go like, and that's just fading away. So I might actually just do like a, so yeah, just to keep like the a sort of pulse going on. So I'm purposely spacing out my chord in a very broad way. I'm not doing anything like, most definitely not a 1-3-5. I just think that's completely distracting in the form of the style. It's a little bit too classical when we're trying to create a very contemporary pop sound. So I might also use something like this. But I feel like I want it to start a little bit lower, and I only want to climb up to this range later in the song. And so, you know, guys, I just realized something. I really need to load the lyrics of the song as well, just so that I could sing along where necessary, so that we know where we are in the music. And if you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the chat box. I will get to it in a moment. Great, so I've got the lyrics loaded here. Thank you for your patience. Right, so entrance to the first chorus, I'm actually going to introduce that extra note on the top, just so that we enter into a new zone and we expand into a new range as well. And then I might go into what a beautiful name it is, what a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ my King. What a beautiful name it is, nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus. You didn't want heaven without us. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I did. So that was first chorus. And the thing about first chorus is we want to keep it pretty pure and simple as well, because the rest of the song has yet to unfold. If we do too much now, you're not really leaving space to develop the rest of the song. You're just using too much too soon. So I'm just gonna, if you noticed, I actually held back a little bit. Instead of having the carry on in the chorus, I actually kept that still by having just chord 3, 4, chord 2, 3, 4, chord 2, 3. So it's just like bare minimal stuff, right? And also I want you to take note that I'm keeping my chord shape really easy. And I feel like it actually sounds better as well like this. It's the everlasting 1 and 5. So watch my previous videos about everlasting 1 and 5, in which I teach that your right hand doesn't actually have to play too many complex stuff. If you notice, I just kept my fingers at 5, at 1. And if you're curious about what that means, like why 5, why 1? So this song is in the key of D major, right? So if D is the 1, then 5 is the A. So I am just sustaining 5 and 1 on the top with my right hand, and everything else changes at the bottom based on the chord. But I feel like it really creates a sense of stability as the song goes on. So, what a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ, versus a full chord and a constantly changing top note, which I find really distracting. What a beautiful name. This is a bad example. It is, what a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ our King. So I find my personal preference is I would rather not have, versus I would rather have, easier to play, and also, in my opinion, better sound. So this is just something I wanted to make sure I get across in today's teaching. So now what you really want to achieve is also a sense of contrast with every section that you go into. So here I'm just done with chorus 1. I'm about to go into verse 2. And in order to create a good sense of contrast, like we've entered into a new section, I am going to introduce a different accompaniment pattern, which in this case is playing at every beat. So the beat of this song is 1, 2, 3, 4. So from a very different way of playing by playing chord and sustaining the name of Jesus. And I'm just doing a little quick filler like this and entering into the verse 2. Here I am. You didn't want heaven without us, so Jesus, you brought heaven down. So once again, creating a very strong sense of contrast by playing with my right hand, playing on every beat. Another difference that you may or may not have noticed is verse 1 does not change any of the chords. It kind of stays on D the whole time, but this is verse 2 and it does change chords now. So it's introducing a few changes altogether. So that's really cool. It creates like, hey, the song's going somewhere. We're building momentum. We're building up, building excitement, and that's really cool. I don't know if you caught what I did there. I did a little bit of a 4-3 suspension. So what's a 4-3? So once again, D major, D being 1. So 4 would be, so that's 4, 4, resolving down to a 3. Sounds really good when you use it like, so I've got my chord 1. And then I sneak in a 4-3 suspension. And I sneak that in at the very first sentence. You didn't want heaven without us. Did you hear that? So as opposed to not doing the 4-3 suspension, it would have just been, you didn't want heaven without us. So it's, I feel harmonically very rich by adding that 4-3 in there. So try that if you haven't. 4-3 suspensions really rock. So I'm gonna move on. You didn't want heaven without us, so Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. Okay, right. So I wanted to just finish the whole section before I start talking again. Lots of things I did there. I wanted you to catch on to my accompaniment pattern. Basically, my right hand kept going at the pulse, so my left hand punctuated on the bass line in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So there was the da-da. So yeah, that's I find a really convenient way to create a sense of movement, but not too much movement yet. And yeah, so that's an accompaniment pattern I use throughout the entire section of the verse 2 and chorus 2 as well. If you feel that that was a little bit difficult to catch and you want me to write the rhythms out so that you can learn it and download it somewhere, can you just leave it in the chat so that I can read through it and see what you feel like? If you really think you want me to write that out and you want to learn from reading the rhythms, let me know. So I'm going to share with you about how I used a little bit of 4-3. Yeah, I think it was another 4-3 suspension, but this time on chord 5. So like I was doing, so Jesus, you brought heaven chord 5. Now instead of going into chord 5 directly, which is, I made sure to do a 4-3 suspension on chord 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that being the 4, 4 resolving down to a 3. That actually sounds really nice compared to going straight to chord 5 straight away. So here's without 4-3 suspension, which doesn't sound so good. So Jesus, you brought heaven down. Versus with a 4-3 suspension on chord 5, which is, so Jesus, you brought heaven, listen for it, down. So there was the da, da, da. Yep. So I am going to go straight into the bridge. The name of Jesus. So I wanted to make sure I bring this out as well. If you noticed, I really made sure not to go beyond the middle D throughout so far, because I really wanted the introduction of the bridge riff to be special, right? And that's in this zone. So if I were playing in this zone already, then when the bridge riff comes in, it just doesn't sound so interesting anymore. So what you can try in the next time you play worship keys is try to reserve the range. Like, don't go into that range unless, you want to go into that range to create a sense of specialty and contrast. If I was playing the name of Jesus, like, I feel that's just kind of stealing the thunder a little bit, like going into this zone already. It just didn't create a sense of specialty when you come into it. So I kind of kept it down here. The name of Jesus. Now I'll go into the high range. Now, what was going on there? I was playing the bridge riff, and I was also harmonizing it. So I didn't harmonize it the whole time though, like I did. So that was not really harmonized. It was just pretty much just the main tune on its own. So instead of just having, I added a little bit of the chord. So my right hand was doing, so it was a little bit of harmony. And then I didn't just go into, again, I decided I wanted to do like adding just created a sense of anticipation it just sounds good to me. So once again, really subjective. People have different opinions. You are very welcome to disagree. I just feel like I really wanted to create a started to introduce a little bit more harmonizing, because the first time people heard it unharmonized as much. The second time, the third time, I feel you really got to do things a little bit different, right? So the second time, and that's a little bit of a clash clash, but because it's a very temporary clash, it sounds good. And that's also a very contemporary sound. So I thought, yeah, probably doesn't hurt using that. So according to the recording, it's kind of like done 3 times. So this is a 3rd time. Through what I was doing there. As you can hear, actually I was trying to match this as closely as possible to the original recording, right? So once again, we're playing in a context where you're the only instrumentalist. You're in live group, there's no band, there's no drummer. So there's no one doing the doom, 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 doom. There's no one creating extra electric guitar pads for you to grow in excitement. So you need to do it all yourself, right? So the cool thing about a piano is it's technically a percussion instrument, because the sound made, if you open up a traditional piano, it's the sound of a hammer hitting a string. So the moment you would play something quite hard on the piano key, it actually does sound a little bit like a percussive effect. So I started to climb a little bit in my tension, in my excitement, in my accompaniment patterns. I started playing a little bit more. I wanted to talk about from the beginning of the bridge. Death could not hold you, misery before you. So I didn't want it to just be a chord, 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 chord. I felt like we needed to go into the quaver rhythms. So I suppose that's called the 8th notes, right? Yeah, just because I feel like we need to get the momentum going in the song. This section of the music, it's very pushing forward. So if you want to push forward, you can't like have one chord and sustain it. I mean, it's possible that you guys want to do it in a very sustaining way, like death could not hold you, the veil tore before you. Like maybe I think that might be something that happens on a repeat section, like repeated bridge. But if you're doing it in the song, like as the song's unfolding, I think I want to create a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and just to have a drive forward. So if I want to do that, I created like a come into the second part of the bridge. And you need to create contrast, because if you keep doing that dun 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 in the same way, people do get stale. Remember, things get stale very fast. So what I decided to do was I still want to create momentum. In fact, I need to create even more momentum now, right? Because we're building onto the climax, which is chorus 3, which is what a powerful name, right? It's the first time the word powerful is used in the chorus. Because if you noticed, all 3 choruses have different descriptions. The first one's beautiful, the second's wonderful, and the third one's powerful. Like, so cool. And because I really want to create a sense of momentum, but I don't want to like give it all yet, I decided instead of just a, because we have to create contrast, I decided to play a little bit more of everything going down together, but I started out soft and then I am building it up to a louder dynamic or louder volume as I go. So here's the You Have No Rival. You have no rival. You have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom. Yours is the glory. Yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name it is. What a powerful name it is. Okay, so it was really a lot of chord. But I also wanted to point out to you the way I played those chords. Like, it's definitely more than just the usual chord shapes. So I've got like, so You Have No Equal. I decided to do something that you could do something like this. So once again, it's everlasting 1 and 5 because you've got 1 and 5 going on. But then it's a chord 5 within that, which also means there's a 7 in there. And so when you sneak in a 7, 7 against an 8 or a 1, 7 and 1, that's a minor second interval, which is a clash. Now, because clashes in general do not sound good, you probably wouldn't want to hear that like just on its own. But because it's so temporary and you're also trying to create a bit of tension because the song's building up, I felt like it was allowable, so I decided to do You have no equal, now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory. So I want you to also realize that I am getting progressively louder. So if you generally play with a single volume, single dynamic level, work on your dynamics. Like, growing louder gradually really helps create a sense of building anticipation, excitement, and climax. So here we have me playing this particular chord. So once again, I want you to see how I've started climbing in my chord, in my range. Because you're also building up, you want to start adding a few more and start climbing the range. So in general, when it's toned down, you want to just stay really small, around the mid-low range. And when the music builds up, you want to start going lower and also going higher and using more of a wider range of the piano. So, what a powerful name it is, what a powerful name it is. Gonna go on straight to the rest of the chorus. I just want to check that the recording is still going on, guys. Like, everything's going on well here, right? It's not like I've cut off my connection or anything. Great, because it would be so sad if I'm like pouring out so much teaching tips and no one's really watching or it's disconnected or anything. So going on, I'm going to You Have No What a Powerful Name It Is. What a powerful name it is. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a powerful name it is. Nothing can stand right, so I went straight on to finish the whole thing. Just checking. Yes, great. Okay, awesome. Good, just good to see that the recording's still going on, guys. Because it's like I'm not looking at my phone at all, and then I have no clue if this is still going on. I'm just gonna keep going on. And guys, if you have any questions and you're watching this live, thanks so much for joining us. Seriously, ask any questions you have in the live chat. Okay, I'll get to the chat once I'm done with the teaching for this round. So what I did was, if you notice, I started climbing quite a bit of my right hand to this zone. So what a powerful name it is. So firstly, I do want to stress that it's really important to play loud, right? This is a super climactic section of the song. So what you really want to do is to create a strong sense of dynamics, strong sense of loudness, and also I'm definitely going all out with spreading out my chord really wide. So I'm using, so that's why my comping pattern was primarily this. What a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ my King. What a powerful name it is, nothing can stand against. And then knowing that we're actually building up into the very final "you have no rival, you have no equal" part of the bridge, which is another high. I'm purposely growing also in my right hand with the range creeping up higher as we go. So nothing can stand against. What a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus. You have no rival, you have no equal. And forever you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names, and above name it is. So lots of things going on there, basically because I didn't have a drummer, but I know that if there was a drummer, he or she would probably go into a pa 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 pa, and we call that 16ths, right? So semi-quaver rhythms. All of you who are British, Australian, educated in music. So 1 and 2 and 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a. So it creates a lot of excitement when you do that. So I feel like that was the section to do it at towards the end of that high bridge. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name it is, what a powerful name. So once again, it's a really dramatic section. And then as the song came towards an end, especially at the tag, which is where the last few sentences were repeated, that's where my range came down a little bit, my volume, my dynamics came down as well, and I also kind of slowed down a tiny bit. Now you don't want to slow down if you're in a band, because you can't just slow down by yourself, right? Everyone else has to slow down together, unless you have an MD counting into some AVM system telling you guys we're going to slow down together. But otherwise, you're playing by yourself in live group. Why not? I mean, if you want to slow down towards the end, that's fine. It's really flexible that way, right? So what a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus. What a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus. What a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus. What did I do? I had a little bit of name of, there was a 1B, this is a D over F sharp, Jesus. And so typical way to finish in a very flush but beautiful, graceful, elegant way is a roll, Jesus. So what I do is I actually play the whole chord first, name of Jesus. What was that chord 4. This is not a chord 1. So that's a nice little thing you can memorize. So going up, just do, and then just repeat that another octave up. And then coming down is the 4 3 1 5. 4 3 1 5 again. And it's always at these sections when I look back and I'm so thankful that, you know, going through the exam system, right? ABR exam, and we need to prepare for the technique section of the exam, right? And your teacher makes you do things like this took like years of hard work. If you are like a relatively new pianist or you never went through technique exercises, do practice these scales and arpeggios. Like, they make all the difference in your playing. And if you go through that training, then it's probably a little bit easier to achieve things like the name of Jesus. I would just choose to finish on that chord 4. Once again, it's a open chord 4, which has an everlasting 1 5 on top. So guys, that's really, I cannot believe it took 45 minutes, and I'm just gonna quickly back at the screen right now and ask if you guys have any questions. And thanks so much to all of you who are watching live. I would like to go into very quickly talking through how I'm gonna play this song using pads and possibly piano and pads. So I'm actually looking through the chat at the moment and looking through to see if there are any questions about what I've just taught. And Xinjie says, thanks so much for your question, Xinjie. Great. Okay, great. So there weren't a lot of questions. So if there are no questions, I am going straight on to show how I'm going to play this in a band context. So imagine this time we have a full band. So, excuse me. We've got, what's really important is, imagine you've got a full band, right? So we've really got a drummer, we've got a bassist, we've got electric guitarists, and these are very key people, acoustic guitarists as well, because they create a lot of the inner rhythms and propelling rhythms that you otherwise don't have. And then the electric guitarist does a lot of these sort of atmospheric pad sounds that could compete with your pad sound. So I think when you're playing in a full band context as a keyboardist, your job really is to be the cushion. What's nicer as a cushion than a pad sound, right? So go find a nice pad sound. I personally really like using that worship sound as a patch from Worship Essentials template. And what I really like is that it allows you to play the way you played just now is without full band. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the way I played just now was to demonstrate how I would play in a cell group, in a live group where you're the only pianist. You could play that way in a band. I definitely don't feel like you should though, because when you have a full band, you've got the bassist providing the bass line, right? So he's doing doom 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 doom, and so if you're also playing na 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 na, so that's doubling the work, and it's like every instrument should create add unique value to the overall sound. So if the pianist is also doing it, yes, I guess it's okay to double that particular bass line part. But if the bassist is doing it, then let the bassist do it. I would personally listen definitely, and it would be really nice if your band happens to have one of those cool systems. You can turn up the bassist, turn down whoever is too loud and stuff, and then you know who's playing what. And if you don't have that, it's still okay. We used to, for many years, I played in a church without that system. And then you just have to sort of make sure to ask the sound people to turn up the other instruments on your amp or something so that you can hear them from the amp that's right next to you. And then what you want to do is make sure you know what everyone else is doing. Because the pad is so versatile, you could play the pad throughout the whole thing. If you're able to switch instruments or like add piano in the pad, that would be even nicer. Then you have the option of decorating, like further decorating the song, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate how I would play pads. So once again, if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat below. Going to put this back on up. And so I'm gonna start using the pad, and because I have two different kinds of pads, I am going to use the the higher sounding pads. So here we go. This is how my pad sounds. Let me just put this on up again. Actually, I just want to make sure I get my lyrics up and also my keyboard. Okay, great. So back to the beginning of the song, of course, keeping it really, really simple. So I hope you can hear the pad. I would actually start the song with something really simple, like, or maybe just, I feel like this is the most stable but also the most simple version of the opening that you can have. Just because if I do these two notes only, I think that's possible, but because the G is the A is the bass note, if I were to just leave it at A and D like that, it might give a sense that it's in a second inversion, which I don't want. So, or a D over A chord. So I would rather create a good sense of a D bass. So it's one of those songs where you can just hold on to that pad, and then people can just, the worship leader can sing whenever he or she is ready. You were the word at the beginning. I'm actually going to just hold this for the whole entire verse. 1. Now revealed in you are Christ. So now I'm going on to the chorus. Chorus 1. I'm going to make it different by adding an octave lower down here. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus. And I think what I really want you to know, to observe, is how sparse it was that I spaced out the notes, because my choice of pad is a very warm pad, so it creates quite a bit of thickness per note. So if I were to use a very closed voicing, like, right, and I were to play all that down together, it would be way too messy and thick in the middle, so it would not sound good. Like, imagine, what a beautiful name it is, then a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus is our King. Right? That's just way too much going on. It's really thick and it's very cumbersome. So to do that, I literally just hold my right hand on the 5 and the 1, and my left hand just plays the bass notes. So this is just chorus 1, so you should leave it to be like a whole lot more sparse and simple at the beginning. And then now I'm gonna go into verse 2. So, you didn't want heaven without us. So pretty much almost the same. I don't want to add too much. Jesus, you brought 4/3 suspension. Rev and down. But you can see that I'm starting to add a little bit more, like just one more note, like in this case it's the F sharp in the B minor chord. Instead of just adding the F sharp in there. It's a very minor difference, but to me, I think it makes a bit of difference to create a sense that we're building up. Sin was great, your love was greater. What could separate us now? What a wonderful name it is. What a wonderful name it is. So for here, I'm actually gonna add like a 2 to some of the music, just because I think it creates a sense of difference, and also a sense that it's starting to climb up a bit higher. The little Jesus, my King, what a wonderful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus. So at some point in chorus 2, I think it is okay to start using the high A, as in like, well, not exactly very high, but this A that's, you know, it's the highest we've ever played so far in the whole song. Okay, so now we go on to the bridge. So of course this is assuming you're the only pad player, and then you have another pianist with you. I feel I have to get across in today's teaching. When we play pads, we really need to keep the top layers still. So I find it really distracting when I hear a pad player playing. Absolutely nothing wrong with those chords. Like, the chords are correct for those parts of the song. The problem though, because there is a da, 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 yeah, that was the problem. The fact that there was just too much movement going on. When you're trying to create a sense of stillness and you want to minimize distraction. So I would rather have more movement going on within the music, the range of the music, as opposed to the top layer. So be really sensitive to the top layer. So guess what? The solution, which is a win-win situation, is play the everlasting 1 and 5 the whole time. And that way it's easy. You literally hold it there. You don't have to think about what to play. And it sounds awesome at the same time. My left hand is just doing octave double bass. So a little bit of interest, you can do a 4/3 suspension on chord 5, which is I'm not sure if you caught that, but basically I had a going on. It's a subtle thing because it's already pads itself, it's very subtle, and now you're doing something in the middle range that's not too high or too low, and it's you know, it's just sandwiched right between, but it makes all the difference and it just sounds so good. So now I'm gonna go on to Death could not hold you, the veil tore before you, and silence the boast of sin and grave. Okay, so here is a enhanced chord 1B, or in this context D over F sharp, that I really like. So instead of just playing, right? I am adding a 2 because I just feel like adding the 2 in there. So all together it's this, but together with an octave on the left hand, so there's a low F sharp as well. Oh, sounds like melting honey. Like, I don't know, just beautiful and like heaven. Like, to me, I love that sound. So, the heavens are roaring, the praise of your glory, for you are raised to life again. You have no rival. Now, at this point, I wanted to share about how it's really cool how the Worship Essentials template allows you to have this modulation wheel, where if you creep it up, it makes the pad sound different. So for example, this is how it sounds with the mod wheel all the way down. But if I creep it up, listen to the sound difference. Well, it creates it as a louder sound. I think it's even more cool if you use the other pad sound as well. So this is the second pad sound. It also has I'm gonna mute the first pad, so it actually ends up sounding very synth-like. So here's what happens when you move the mod wheel up. Sorry, I'm gonna try that again. This was better. Yeah, it was really cool. So I find that as you go all the way up, it's a little overbearing because it starts sounding very much like a synth techno kind of song. So I don't really want it to go there, but I do want the pad to sound like a little bit more exciting. So what I might do is because this part is where the climax goes, I'm gonna play and I'm gonna creep my mod wheel up. So what I'll do is I might creep my pad 2 up, because initially it was just pad 1. Pad 1 sounds like this. Pad 2 sounds like this. So as you can hear, it's a little bit lower and thicker. So I might do God and hold you, live for before you, silence my boast of sin and grief. We'll start creeping pad 2 up. Heavens are creeping the modulation. You have no rival, you have no equal, now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a wonderful name it is. What a powerful name it is. So I hope you heard for yourself just how awesome it was when you could creep it up as you play to change the sound and make it thicker. So for the rest of the song, I'm actually just gonna keep playing to the end, and I'm gonna finish up this live video real quick. What a powerful name it is. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a powerful name it is. Nothing can stand against the name it is. The name of Jesus. Okay, so at this point, I am really tired of the da. So I'm going to introduce the next one up, which is up here. So for a sense of contrast, I'm going to go from before that. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus. You have no rival. You have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the up to the high D, I also came down to the C sharp. What was all that? Those are all the 4-3 suspensions on chord 5, because there are a couple of chord 5s as we go through the bridge. Every time is a chord 5, I do a little 4-3 suspension, so that way I create a sense of harmonic interest. There's always a bit of tension, resolution, tension, resolution. It sounds really cool. It makes the music a whole lot less stale. And then I wanted to make sure that I also share how I don't want to climb up even higher. I could. I feel like that really doesn't work though. Like, I mean, name above all names, what a powerful name it is. What a powerful name. Well, I don't know, like, I'm just listening to the sound I have and how climactic it is. Maybe I'll listen to the whole entire band and I'll decide if I really want to come up to the next 5. But at this point, I feel like 1 is sufficient. I might change my mind if maybe the whole band was kind of reaching up to like real new levels of climax. But otherwise, I'm just gonna hold on to the D. So I'm just gonna keep this at my max. I'm not gonna go any higher than that because I feel like this is more appropriate. I'm gonna start creeping down. The name of Jesus, what a powerful name. Muting my pad too. It is the name of Jesus, what a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus. And if you notice, I have come back down to the original range of the beginning where it's just really low and mid. So guys, that was my quick talk through about how I would play the pads of What a Beautiful Name. So let's have a look at any questions that you might have asked during the process. Can you use a drone through the whole song? You know what, Dave? A drone, if it's like a, you know, one of those pads that people sell a lot nowadays, right? Like it's just a D drone. The thing about drones is that, yes, they can work really well for most of the songs because most worship songs use simple chords. There are the occasional chords, though, that might clash with the drone sound, which typically is a 1 and a 5. So if you're not harmonically sensitive, it's fine. If you don't have a pad player for the whole worship service and you need a pad, that's a fantastic technological advancement to have and to utilize. But I will say, if you are the keyboardist, then, you know, make full use of the harmonic differences you can create by playing the right notes as the music changes. So it takes a bit of harmonic knowledge. Harmonic knowledge means chord knowledge, where you hear the chord and you know, okay, for this chord I can do something extra. I can do 4-3 suspensions to create even more interest. And those little things really make a difference. So great question there, Dave. If you would play together, Shinjie asks, if you could play together with the original track, how would you do it to make it different with full band and without full band? Actually, I would do pretty much what I did today if I played together with the original track. Okay, I think I know what you mean now. I'm just thinking about how I could add like a layer of decorations on the piano above the original track. So you know what? I'm going to actually now play that song using Spotify, and then we can hear what else I do above it. Actually, I haven't planned this out, so it's all really like improv, right? So here I am. I'm just going to turn on my Spotify and play What a Beautiful Name, but not from the start. So here's like the original recording. I hope you can hear it. So because the front's really simple, I'm not going to add too much to it. I'm actually going to go straight to like the 3/4 point where the music starts getting higher. And I'm going to turn on my piano sound and let's see what I can add on top of the original recording. So this is going to be interesting. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Great. Okay, so basically, yes, I should probably show the keypad. Thanks so much. So give me a sec. I'm gonna reattach the phone. Yes, so basically what I came up with was a pattern that I felt would fit the what I felt like was really happening was a whole lot of 16ths, right? So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So basically I was doing. And guys, this is really all I play if I'm in a full band and there's another keyboardist playing pads and I'm the only one with the piano sound. I actually don't have anything going on. I'm not even doing. I mean, that's stealing or taking or doubling the job of the bassist. So don't. I would rather not do that, right? If I have a full band, I am just going to use, I'm just going back a little bit, just the right hand. So this is literally all I play. Okay, great. So I wanted to make sure I also talk about why I stopped. I stopped because I felt like that section was special right at that point. So da 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 da. If I had gone on a little bit more to the chorus, it would not be special anymore because it's just a bit overused. So I felt like that was the moment that I could use the riff da 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 da. So what I wanted to share about how you can apply this is if you feel like, hey, you want to do something on top, right? Like this is on top. This is not on the Hillsong recording at all. It's something I came up with, and it's like when you have so many resources in a band and you want to create extra value above the original arrangements. Keep to 1 and 5. We noticed da 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 da. It's really 1 5 1 5 1 5 1 5 D A D A. So it's back to the same old notes and just create rhythms that fit into the moment. So for me, I felt like the moment felt like it should be a 1 A and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So then I decided, okay, let's just use 1 5 1 5 1 5 1 5, and that's just gonna sound pretty good already. And then occasionally when you have that 4/3 suspension on a chord 5, have a little 7 1 7 5 1 5. So instead of the 1 comes down a step to 7. And when you really got to do though is to practice to the point where you're able to play it execute it very accurately, so that you don't distract people because you're a little bit late, a little bit early, or getting faster or getting slower. So your tempo is really important. So Xinjie, that's a moment where I might actually add something like that. I hope I did answer your question. Now, if you have more questions, you can ask, but I'm going to zoom through something else. Do you ever use more than one pad at a time? So Brock Saints, thanks for your question. Yeah, because this particular patch has two different pad sounds. One's a lower pad, one's a higher pad. So when I feel like the music needs to thicken up to a certain point, I will use two pads at the same time. Moving on, I was thinking of a pad drone under a piano sound. Is that possible with one keyboard? Yeah, I mean, the pad drones nowadays are played through, it's just like any song you can play it on your iTunes app, or off your phone, really, like connect it to a speaker so that it sounds better than just the phone speakers. So yeah, definitely I think it will work if you choose to have a pad drone and a piano playing above it. It's gonna sound pretty good, actually. I mean, aside from those moments when the harmony is not really matching, but those are usually very momentary anyway. Going on quickly, because I do feel like this video is getting pretty long and I don't want to bore you guys. Mayday J. Hi Sandra, will you use the transpose key function in your keyboard? If I have to play a very difficult song in the key of F sharp major, maybe, but I try not to, and thankfully that hasn't really happened yet. In case the worship leader sings different key than original key, I know transpose function is not that professional. Yeah, it's helpful to have it if you can't play it in a certain key. So what happened was, as a pianist, I was brought up to memorize all 12 keys scales. So being able to play all 12 key scales really helps with playing in most keys. If you want me to play in F sharp major right now, I'll probably play something wrong, like sometimes B becomes B sharp and that kind of problem. So if I don't have enough time to practice, I might just use the transpose function. Seriously. So Mayday J, that's like my honest answer. So great, guys. I don't seem to see any more questions. If you kept with me throughout the whole thing, I just want to say thank you so very much for joining us. And of course, you can watch the replay. Now, I wanted to make sure you know that if you want your question answered very in-depth, Xinjie, thanks so much for asking this question. Xinjie is an Inspired Keys Academy member. If you want to check out how you can join the Inspired Keys Academy, which is where I put all my training videos, my course videos on how exactly to play, and I go in depth with what I was talking about just now, because in today's tutorial we talked so much about the little things I did, the range, the 4/3 suspensions, what on earth are all those things. And if you want to go in depth and also access the 31 Days to Better Worship keyboard playing ebook and have your questions answered with priority in live Q&A videos like this, then head over to inspiredkeys.com/join, and that's where you can find out a lot more about how the Academy can help you. So guys, thanks so much. Stay tuned for the next live Q&A. I do plan to have it around this time, at the moment on Tuesdays. And if you have questions, like now or maybe through the week, you have some new worship keys problems that you really can't get your head around, I would love to see what I can do to help you. So you can leave your question on the Inspired Keys Facebook page, Inspired Keys Community Facebook group, or if you're an Academy member, on the Inspired Keys Academy member Facebook group as well. So thanks so much for joining us, guys, and I'll see you in the next Q&A. Take care, God bless, and happy playing. Bye.